Good morning, boys and girls. We are back in our Bible talking about Moses and those Israelites. Now, yesterday we talked about God giving Moses the 10 Commandments. Now, God didn't just give them 10 Commandments, He had a lot of other laws that they needed to obey. And our friends, the Israelites, they had a hard time. So the title of our story today is called Time Out. I'm just going to show you from the beginning. Time Out. Have you ever been put in a timeout? Maybe for not listening to your mom or dad or being mean to your sister or brother? Well, your timeout was nothing compared to Israel's timeout. God put Israel in timeout for 40 years. What did they do to get a 40-year timeout? Well, Moses and the Israelites had lots of new rules from God about how to be His holy nation. They knew what to do and what not to do. No beard trimming, no pork eating, no lying or stealing, lots of rules. As soon as they left camp to head for the promised land, the Israelites started complaining again. It's too hot. We're tired of this weird, flaky food. They were complaining about everything. Moses told them to trust God and be patient. After all, they were headed to the land God had promised them. They would soon have their own land and be God's holy nation. Just when Moses thought he couldn't take their complaining any longer, they finally reached the promised land, a land called Canaan. There was one small problem, though. There were already people living in Canaan. So Moses sent 12 spies into the land to check it out. Do you know what a spy is? It's someone who sneaks around gathering information without being noticed. The 12 spies wandered all over Canaan taking notes. Was there food, fresh water? Were there trees? How many people lived there? Were there big people or little people? Then they came back to Moses and the Israelites and told them what they saw. The promised land was amazing. They saw grapes, huge, delicious grapes. They saw lots of fruit trees. They saw good land for growing crops with clean, fresh water running in brooks and streams. They saw the land that God had promised them was amazing. It was a wonderful place to live. But they also saw the people that lived there. They looked big. They looked strong. They looked mean. What if they attacked the Israelites? Would the Israelites win or lose? Moses asked the spies what the Israelites should do. Two of the spies reminded the Israelites that this was the land God had promised. Even though the people there looked big, God was bigger. And if they had to fight for their land, God would fight with them and they would win. All they had to do was trust God. But the other 10 spies were scared. The people are too big, they said. They're too strong, they said. And if we have to fight them, we'll lose. Who should the Israelites listen to? The 2 spies who trusted God or the 10 spies that were too scared and wanted to run away? Who would you listen to? Well, the Israelites, they listened to the scared spies. They forgot all the things that God had done to them and to bring them out of Egypt. They forgot that He was always with them and that He was much bigger than anyone or anything they could ever face. They forgot about God. They said, "We're not going to that land. Let's go back to Egypt." Moses could not believe what he was hearing. The children of Israel, God's friends, were turning their backs on God. "Because you don't trust me, none of you will go into the land I promised," God said. "Someday your children will go in, but you will not." God wanted the Israelites to trust Him. He wanted them to remember that He loved them very much and that they didn't need to be afraid because He was always with them. The Israelites forgot all those things and God put them in timeout for 40 years. 40 years, boys and girls, the Israelites had to roam around the desert, not knowing where they were going. During their 40-year timeout, Moses, the Israelites, and their animals, because they had animals with them, wandered the desert in the Sinai Peninsula, which is situated between the Mediterranean and the Red Seas. Today, the location of the Israelites' wilderness wandering is a 23,000 square mile bridge between Africa and Asia with a population of almost 1.5 million people. So it is a huge area that they had to walk around for 40 years. Now, why did the Israelites get a 40-year timeout? Yeah, because they forgot that God loved them very much, and they forgot that he was going to take care of them, and they just turned their back on him. What can we remember about God when we encounter hard things, boys and girls? Right. We can remember he's always there. He's not going to leave us. And even the big, big battles that we face, he's going to help us get through them. Let's bow our heads and say a quick prayer. Dear God, thank you for being bigger and stronger than our fears. We trust you to help us bravely through. Amen. Well, tomorrow, boys and girls, we'll find out what happened to our friends. And hopefully we'll get them into the promised land. See you tomorrow.